Yup. Yup. Kid's working. Here's my discussion post regarding the Electoral College. By me, Toby Large. First slide. What are your initial thoughts after reading about the origins of the Electoral College? Combined with gerrymandering, what does this tell you about the current state of our democratic process? Okay. My initial thoughts of the Electoral College before I started reading the articles that you assigned me were pretty much exactly what the articles were saying. Originally, I thought the Electoral College is a system of checks and balances in order to give proper representation to the smaller states who really have a tough time competing with that proper representation from the larger states. However, it's interesting to learn, once I started reading these articles, after I got past the subscription wall, which I wish you put something in there for. What you can do, FYI, you can just load up the article, hit curl A, curl C, which selects everything, and then you copy everything, and that will allow you to get past like any subscriptions or any paywalls. It's great. Use it all the time. However, back on topic, it was interesting to see that it was never apparently about the big and small states fighting for equal representation. However, it was more or less the North and South states fighting for representation or for power, which, funny, never would have guessed. North and South were feuding. It might be a reoccurring theme in our history. However, it was something I was a little surprised to see. I thought we'd be a little bit more honest this time around. However, history does have a tendency of repeating itself, especially when I've been learning about the same little section for the past, 5 years. After learning this, I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, think about it. The North and the South, when it comes to... The South was trying to suppress a bunch of black people that just became free. It would be infuriating for a black man. For a Southern man to, have a governor that's black. They've been raised and bred to, hate black people and think of them as lesser creatures. You really think that's going to go over well if, a governor or, inferior creatures deciding the future of this country? That would infuriate them. Just imagine if we had, Barack Obama as a president back there. Or, any president, any black president that would be during this time frame. It would have caused riots. People would have thrown hands. The people in the South would not be happy. We'd probably have another civil war. It would have been quite the ordeal. Because that's what would make... That's what pisses them off more than anything. Because that would make a racist white man more angry than being governed by someone who they consider an inferior creature, or much less letting a black man vote. That'd be an unprecedented thing for them. It'd be ridiculous. With that being said, I think that in today's society, while this process is still a little bit convoluted, I think it works pretty well. Sure, it was founded in racism and trying to suppress black people, but now it lets the smaller states' voices be heard. Whereas if the system were in place, it'd be a lot harder for them to get the representation that they deserve. It's a little iffy, but I like it. I wouldn't really change. I wouldn't really change anything about it. Sucks that it was built on slavery, but hey, what are you gonna do about it? Next one. What alternatives do you propose to the Electoral College? All right. What alternatives do I propose? Well, for starters, what I do think is wrong with the Electoral College is that the Electoral College has gone from two Americans trying to make America the best that they could possibly be, running beside their fellow American, and it doesn't really matter. Back in the day, it didn't really matter who won. Sure it did, they do a few policies, but it's not where it is today. It's my opinion. I'm not too crazy. What I'd want to bring to the new proposed electoral college is a sense of community camaraderie, which is really hard to do, especially in today's modern climate where everyone's so divided. Yeah, we should be building each other up no matter who wins, okay? We should be striving for a brighter tomorrow and not tearing each other down like we do in the modern era. You can see this pretty well with Kamala and Trump. So, yeah, We should be trying to build each other up, all that fun stuff. That's why I suggest we keep everything. Pretty much everything's going to be the same, because I don't know. I really like the system we got going on. Let's the little man speak, kind of. Not really. 1 vote doesn't matter, but 100,000 kind of does. But what I propose in this new system is that instead of, the losers party going home kicking rocks, they don't have really a say. I mean, sure, they have a say with, the other systems. They've got representation through senators and electoral votes, all that fun stuff. What I would recommend, or what I'd like to see, is whoever loses the race, they would become the vice president for that year. I think it'd be really cool. However, of course, the vice president could turn it down if they don't want to, but then theoretically the president could elect their own VP, but it'd have to be someone that they said beforehand. It can't just be I don't know, some random person. It'd be really funny if they tried to elect their running partner, but whatever, I'm getting sidetracked. So that, yeah, you can't get anyone off the street. I think this would be great because you'd have your biggest critic, well, in modern, you'd have a critic right beside you, working with you, pointing out all the flaws in everything you're doing. That would, look, sure, it might be really annoying to hear someone nagging in your ear the entire time, but it'd allow you to think about what they're saying. It'd allow you to move past what they're saying, think about it, think if they've got a point, whether you've got a point, the pros and the cons, before moving on with whatever ridiculous thing you're doing. I wish Trump would do the same thing. I wish he'd think it a little bit more. Maybe he does. I don't know. This would be great. I really like it. I think it'd be a great way for the president to have a voice of reason and what is happening. Hopefully that didn't register. Hopefully, whatever. I just think it'd be a great way for the president to just have a little voice of reason, or of the other side. Just, okay, what is it? Stop it. Just in the back of the mind. That's my proposition. The running, whoever lost to the president, or whoever got the second highest, would become the VP. That was the point. Here's my script. Page 1, page uno mas, and we've got page dos mas. That will be all. It will be great. It will be quite good. I would love to have Kamala. Alright, that should be it. Hopefully I made the time frame. If not, I don't know.